Right, with that said and done, let's move on to the actual show then. I'm just going to summarise what David Ornstein said today. Some of it is not really new, but it's more detail, if that makes sense. And then we can digest that. I want to talk about the Luke Shaw thing. I want to talk about the Alan Shearer thing. You might have some things you want to talk about as well. Jonathan says, Erik Ten Hag to drop Eriksen or McTominay for the next match and play Amrabat. He needs game time. Well, look, maybe we'll get a chance to talk about that a little bit later, Jonathan, because I've watched Chelsea Man City today, and my big fear with United actually isn't the centre-backs. I think we need better centre-backs, but we've got what we've got at the moment. My big problem with Man United at the moment is the midfield. I mean, say what you like about Chelsea. If they've got a striker, they're a very good side. Their midfield of Enzo, Caicedo and Gallagher, it's so energetic, it's so intense, and they're actually quite good at moving the ball about. So that's another team with a really good midfield. I worry about our midfield. I like Bruno, I like Eriksen, but McTominay, Eriksen and Bruno against even Chelsea's midfield, I think it's going to get dominated, and we've got them in a few weeks' time anyway. Right, let's go through what David Ornstein said. He's basically said this. I'm going to summarise it. Sir Jim Radcliffe is going to buy 25% of the club for around £1.4 billion. This is going to be announced to the New York Stock Exchange this week. It'll be after Monday because obviously we've got Sir Bobby Charlton's funeral tomorrow. He said that Sir Jim Radcliffe will significantly take control of the sporting side of things involving transfers, contracts, etc. However, it will be part of a 3-person panel which involves Sir Jim Radcliffe, Sir David Brailsford and Joel Glazer. The Glazers will retain control of the commercial side of things. Obviously, that's going to be a new Manchester United because Richard Arnold has had control of the commercial side and the sporting side, so we're going to split off. Going to be very interesting how that works out. David Ornstein also went on to say that this is a win-win for the Glazers, really, because if it works, they make a lot of money because Man United will become more successful and make a lot more money. If it doesn't work, they can say, it wasn't me. I caught her in the shower. It wasn't me. I caught her going down the restaurant. It wasn't me. You know, who was that? Was that Shaggy? Yeah, that'll be the Glazers going, it wasn't me. So it's a win-win situation, according to David Ornstein, because if it goes well, they make the money. If it doesn't go well, they still own the club. They can say it wasn't us who messed it up, and they can sell it to Qatar or somebody else in a few years' time. So they're in a win-win situation, the Glazers, basically. Seeing Chelsea, what's your score prediction versus United to Zaro? Too many games for us before we play Chelsea. We've got 3 before that. So that's how it's going to work. Sporting control will be controlled by a 3-person panel. Joel Glazer, Sir Jim and Sir David Brailsford. But the Glazers will retain commercial control. So basically, commercial control will be the Glazers, and then there'll be this sporting director board where a Glazer will be there. So how much control will Joel Glazer have with Sir Jim on that board? Will it be a case of Sir Jim Radcliffe says, we want to sack John Murtagh and bring in Paul Mitchell, and Sir David Brailsford and Sir Jim Radcliffe agree on that, but then Joel Glazer goes, I don't know about that. I don't like that. Who wins in that scenario? I don't know. We hopefully will find out, but that's how it's going to look. Now, interestingly, David Ornstein went on to say that there are positions that they will look at immediately when they get sporting control. The director of football being one of the key ones. However, David Ornstein said it might take some time. Names such as Paul Mitchell and Dougie Freedman. I mean, I thought that was a joke this morning. Chelsea made me so sad today. Where is United, says Arhan. Can somebody just confirm to me? I thought the Dougie Freedman link as our director of football was a joke. I wrote this down before I went live, and I've just realised live what I've written down. I don't get. Manchester United are looking at keen to poach Crystal Palace's sporting director, Dougie Freedman. I mean, look, the source might not be that great, but yeah, I don't know what that's all about. Didn't we say this when it first came out? Sir Jim Radcliffe won, says Jack Glancy. I don't know, but David Ornstein mentioned the name Dougie Freedman. He said, Man United are looking at some directors of football. Dougie Freedman's been mentioned. Paul Mitchell's been mentioned. But he said it might take some time for United to do something about that. And I think that's really important. We'll talk about the manager situation in a moment, but I want to digest this and get some talking points going with it. All this is coming from David Ornstein, as I said, very good journalist in the UK scene. And he's saying that they will look at the director of football, but it might take some time. And that worries me because we haven't got any time. We've wasted 10 years already since Sir Alex went. We haven't got any time. We need to sack this director of football and we need to get a good director of football in. How much time does it take to realise that? John Murtaugh's not the guy, and it's proven. You don't need to be at the club. I don't think Sir Jim Radcliffe needs to come into the club and go, let me have a little think about this. Maybe I'm missing something. Like, it's been a shit show for years. Walk in, sack someone, and bring someone in who knows what they're doing. For me, it's a really quick decision. Sack John Murtaugh, give Paul Mitchell the job. Why would it take some time? Why is it? What's taking the time? Is it the Glazers again? Is it money? Is it contracts? Is it giving somebody another chance? Why would it take some time? I think these things need to happen very, very quickly. So it was interesting when David Ornstein said, Director of Football is definitely on the list, but it might take some time. This is the worst case scenario. Glazers will still have the final say on everything. Jim won't be able to splash the cash without the final say from Joel, says Geordie. And do you think Jim Radcliffe will talk to players telling them to play for the badge or be sold, says Darren. I don't know. I mean, look, in relation to the actual deal itself, there's better brains than mine who know how these things work and know how the Premier League work. Some people would say, I don't understand how this works. I don't understand how somebody buys 25% and then pumps money into the club legitimately without the shareholders being unhappy or without the Premier League saying you can't put that much money in. Can a 25% minority shareholder just chuck £200 million into a club? I don't know. And the way I think of it, well, imagine Newcastle and, they want to put some money into the club so they get another, rich benefactor who just buys a small minority but throws loads of money in. You can see why that might be a problem. You can see why that might be a problem with FPL. You can see why the Premier League might have some rule in place that says you can't have a minority shareholder who throws hundreds of millions of pounds in to bypass FPL. So I don't know the rules. I'm not saying I know the rules, but I don't think we're getting all the detail, is what I'm saying. And we need the detail because I don't think it's as simple as somebody buys 25% and then throws 2 billion in. I mean, we'd all be up in arms if Abu Dhabi went and bought Crystal Palace and only bought 10%. So they only spent like $500,000 on 10%, and then they throw 3 billion in. People would say, well, that's just a way of getting money in the club through the back door without having to buy all the clubs. So, look, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work. We'll have to wait for that next week. But these are all questions that need answering. Love your show, brother, says Rahul. Quick question. Why do you think the Man United overlords have still not identified United Stand as the biggest platform? I think they do know that we're the biggest platform. If I speak, I'll be in trouble. But I think they do know we're the biggest platform, yeah. And... but they're stuck in their ways. The club is old. It's archaic. It still values relationships with news outlets with low viewing figures. It's still prioritising old media. And I think that's a mistake. But one day they will hopefully wake up and smell the coffee. But this was the big thing. This is probably the thing you're waiting for. David Ornstein said, in relation to the manager, they will look at the manager, but that could also take some time. And that, for me, was massive. Because he also said it about the CEO, but he basically said the director of football, the CEO, and the manager will be looked at by Sir Jim as part of his taking control of the sporting control, but it will take some time. Now, it's not a surprise, but it is a surprise, because David Ornstein is very credible, and he's only speaking sense. It's not like it's breaking news, but it's quite a sobering bit of news because it's logical. And I think sometimes when somebody says something publicly that's really logical that you're trying to avoid, you sort of go, yeah, I've got to deal with this. They are going to look at the manager. Of course they are. They're going to look at the manager. They're going to look at his assistant coach. They're going to look at the coaching. They're going to look at the injuries. They're going to look at the transfers. They're going to look at the wages. And then when they see problems, they're going to go, who's responsible for that? We are 6th in the league at the moment, but we might not be 6th in the league by the time, Christmas comes around. Why are we dropping off? It's great that we're 6th in the league. We were mid-table. We're on an upward turn. But if it starts dropping off again, that's a problem. So they're going to look at it. They're going to obviously listen to players. They're going to obviously look at, is it worth investing in this manager? Is he the right manager? They're going to look at it. And I don't like that, but they are. And hearing it really brought it home that they will. Of course they will. It's completely logical. I can't be like some of these other people on social media who are telling us stories about what Sir Jim's going to do and they've got absolutely no evidence. I can't sit here and say, manager's safe, he's never going to get the sack, he's not in any danger, just because I don't want it to be. Of course they're going to look at it. David Ornstein's right, they're going to look at it. It may take some time. In no way is Sir Jim Radcliffe walking into the club and going, I don't like you, Ten Hag, you're sacked. That's not going to happen. But I think they're going to look at it, and I think if they find things they don't like, then Ten Hag could be in trouble. Of course he could. And those things they don't like might be bad results.